I know we had talked kind of like 90 days, and it could be even less than that if weather permits.
Exactly, yeah. So I think this will be a attractive one for bridge contractor to just come in and get it done,
Mhm.
So, the box culverts, I know you guys had submitted the one for flex fund. We were told that they were hoping to give announcements this week on awards for flex funds, so.
Both bridges and the flex funding on the highways?
Yeah, yep, hopefully. That's what they hinted towards anyways. They also said before the end of the year, before too, so we'll see.
Right.
But yeah, those ones, I mean, pending flex funds are still, what, at 20, 28, 29. So we've got, design in a good spot. We're starting to see some permits here and there, so, just keeping that one moving, so we don't get, behind on that. But yeah, those are pretty much it for updates. I don't know if you guys have questions on any of the structure projects. The estimate, I think, is around 1.1. And then with construction engineering, for budgeting purposes, I think your local share will be about 300,000, 20% of that. So.
We were kind of planning on that, right, Dan?
Well, we were planning on,
400?
originally it was 400.
Yep.
So when I looked at these numbers, that was favorable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say you're 3 to 350.
So yeah, that's good news.
Yeah.
A little better anyway. Right.
Yeah, then hopefully you guys will have some good luck with the flex funds and
Yeah.
keep things moving. So, you guys have any questions for me, or Brent, I'll give you a set of these, and I can email you an electronic copy too.
This is fine.
Okay. Yeah, if you have a chance to go through them, and then we can meet up, and if you got questions or anything,
bet.
we can get that squared away.
I appreciate these.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, I think everything's going well. Should be a good project, and get it in and get it done.
Sounds good. Anything else?
All right.
Thank you.
Good.
The bridge southwest of Harvey is still working.
Oh, the box over? Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I was actually gonna drive over there.
Besides the bridge markers.
Yeah, because
Someone hit the bridge
otherwise-
markers?
Oh, they took them down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll.
They're so wide that I'm not saying they weren't hit, but I've got a few phone calls. What can we do? Can we just leave these down? I said, well, you can put these fancy flip over ones up, but they're like $600, $700 a piece. Ooh. So right now there's one bridge marker up there.
So whose responsibility is it, the township?
Township.
Okay, so why didn't they just put a little one up?
Well,
At least it's marked.
they want it. Well, yeah, it may be marked, but if it's not visible from the road when the grass is tall, it ain't gonna hold up in the court of law. You can put a short one up, and as soon as the grass grows in the summer, you can't see it. They have to be, there's standards for all signs. They have to be legible from the top of the road.
Oh, okay.
So by putting a little one this big that's covered by grass way down low, you're really not solving anything.
I'm pretty sure it's not visible if it's not on the ground.
No, it's not. And they get knocked down quite quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing. How
Yeah,
fast
it
those
is.
things go. It's not just here.
I told him, I said, he asked me if he could take them down. I said, I'm never going to tell you can take them down, but I'm not going to do anything if they fall down.
What if you put them, like say, at an angle from the bridge, like, and you can still see them from the hill and the deal? You know what I'm saying?
It all basically falls into what are the DOT specs for the bridge.
Ideally would be a arm out.
Right.
Because
I'm just curious because there's a lot of other things like that, right?
this is still a DOT bridge.
A lot of times
And that was,
get taken
yes.
out and moved down further down the ditch. You still use the taller ones.
I mean,
but
when we did this project, we could have done it different ways, and then all the liability in the future with anything that would have happened would have been on the township. But by making it a DOT inspected bridge like we did, if there is a problem at that crossing, it benefits the township to have it being a DOT bridge, correct?
yeah, because then there's funding.
There's funding for it.
Right.
So if it's a DOT bridge, Shouldn't Avery provide the markers?
It's,
I'm asking the question.
It's-
Well, they did.
They did.
yeah, first
So
time.
do
not
they
their
have
job.
to keep it in
Yeah,
repair?
the first time they did,
Okay.
but,
alright.
you know, they could be sending pallets of bridge markers out to every county across the state every month.
When it gets inspected, that'll come up.
It'll
on the
come up that the
inspection.
bridge
Okay.
markers aren't up and they'll have to be put up, yeah.
Cause this is gonna come up in the township meeting.
Yeah. I've talked to Mike ad nauseum about it.
Okay,
Okay, very good. We're gonna move on.
That's good. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
sorry I brought up the things.
No,
thank you, Brian.
yeah, feel free to reach out. If you guys got questions on anything.
Get back one quick thing with that. None of that stuff is made for this big machinery.
No, there's a reason why they say
But-
Somebody knocked them over.
Well, I know, but
But,
years
gotta be
ago,
blind to
years
hit them
ago, it was
things.
8-foot header.
but the question is if anybody says it's not wide enough for the machinery, so why didn't you put your header on behind the company?
That's exactly
That's
right.
exactly
Oh, That's an excuse. Oh, I got a 40-foot head, we should have
Well, that takes
40-foot
time. You don't
marker
have
Right.
time in harvesting.
Or
I'd
go
still
over-
like,
Yeah, go over to the Canutza Hills sometime. And there's combines going up there with 40-foot headers and no flaggers.
Oh, yeah,
And I see them all the time.
happens in every township every
it's
fall.
all over.
I'd like to know who tore that 20 or 30 feet of fence off the Wellsburg Bridge up there. What they
Blade guy.
hooked that with. You know,
Blade guy
there's a
hooked
piece, what did they do to wreck that fence?
The blade guy hooked it.
Oh, I thought it was a farmer that
Oh, the blade guy
blade
hooked
hooked
it.
that. Oh,
Yeah, the same guy that took 2 light poles out in Harvey, but I'm not mentioning any names.
it don't matter.
We'll put some fence and 2 light poles on his retirement gate.
Okay, we answered the assessor responsibilities that we're
So
talking about
that's Friday morning.
Friday morning.
Yep.
Equalization, what do we got there?
You've done those assessor responsibilities.
three things when Jana was here. When Jana was here.
I know, but, so you knew this ahead of time. Why is it on the agenda? I mean,
Because if you were gonna take action on it, which you did on 2 out of the 3, it needs to be on the agenda.
right,
So that's why they were placed there.
so
we've
you
done them
knew,
all.
you knew about this, okay, all right, I got it.
You got it?
We're gonna make that decision Friday when we're on over the hill. We got
There's,
2 deals on the
well,
for Friday.
There's, nothing. Like a soothsayer.
Got a drone plan.
You gotta visit Oliver, you got problems. Okay, equalization,
We can go down to 10, which is floodplain model D, and we'll have Tammy come out.
okay.
Tammy?
So all it is an amendment to our Model D ordinance. When the state sent out the new Model D ordinance, they had the wrong century code listed in it. So this is just an amendment to put the correct century code in it, so it just needs to be signed.
You need to sign?
So we'll need somebody to,
Make a motion to approve the new,
motion to
amendment.
approve.
Stan made the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Can I make a comment just as the secretary for the water board? I've been secretary for this board for 35 years. I started when I was 12.
You must have.
Yes, I did.
It can't be that old.
Yeah. This is by far one of the best boards I've ever had. So, there's nothing more regulated than water, and we have to have an attorney and an engineer at all of our meetings. We could not do it without them. And it was very disheartening that a county commissioner, the very first words when he walked in is, we need to find new water board members, without getting both sides of the story. I think, Brian, you need to hear both
I
sides of the
did
story.
not say we
And
need,
based on, we need to replace some water board members.
I didn't say it that way, okay? I got some phone calls and I was following
You
up on
got
that.
5, what about everybody else in
Okay,
the Oak
let me
Street?
finish. It ended up working in their favor, and that's why I presented it so it's rested. That's why I did what I did, okay? I'm sorry that you take offense to that, but I did what I did to put this to rest so that this doesn't happen. Now we have a way to deal with this, okay?
And you voted to abstain, you didn't vote to approve them to be on the board.
I voted to abstain for a reason, and that's my personal reason.
But you have to remember, there's a lot of people in Oak Creek Drain that paid for that drain,
I
and
realize
continue
that.
to pay for that drain.
I'm
You can't go
sorry
by
you take
5
offense.
people. I did, because like I said, this is one of the best boards I've ever had.
I'm not saying they weren't good.
So I just wanted to say that as secretary, because I'm a little, kind of a mother hen with that board. And, you know, very-
Okay.
very
Most of these
protective.
are thankless jobs.
And it is, and, you know, being a town kid, I just never understood, and I said it to you, how water can turn neighbors into enemies, just blows my mind.
Whiskey's good drinking and water's good fighting.
And there's
Well, you
truth to
can't
that.
say that.
That's bad.
And it's not fair to have, you know, it's just different. If the roles are then reversed, and then a different story.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind too.
Here's a signing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sign it.
Dennis, you didn't sign mine.
Well, I don't want to.
He could have. This was meter to mine.
There's scoop one in there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe.
What's next?
Raffle.
Raffle permit, what's this for?
Flatland Trailblazers
prize.
with a raffle.
During the fair, the airports, right?
Is there a motion to accept it? Motion made by Boone to give them a exempt permit. Is there a second? Second by Miller. Any discussion?
Yeah, I guess in the future, you know, there's a line there when I read through that said, be specific as to what, where, and how. I guess I'd be a little concerned about, and I'm not voting against this by any means, but I think they need to put in there how many raffle tickets they're selling, how much money they're collecting versus the prize money. I mean, would you guys all agree, I'm gonna be goofy now and setting up an example. Would you agree if they sold $10,000 worth of tickets and gave away $1,000 worth of prizes?
That's a little extreme.
You don't know at this point what they're gonna do, because it's not stated in there. I think in the
Sure,
future,
they got their,
You got a limit here.
I didn't read it good enough.
They're not guaranteed to sell all the
Nineteen-
tickets,
no,
though,
no.
either.
Go to the figure of $1,900
Yeah.
and keep reading.
I have it in front of me.
oh, I
This now is part of the total prize limit of $40,000 for this fiscal year.
Does that hold any water?
Well, that's, no, that means they can only give away up to $40,000.
Right,
Right.
And that's if they ran 3 different raffles.
Go up where it says, provide the exact dates and frequency of each event and type, in other words, what they're doing. Well, and it just said the raffle will be held in front of the grandstand. I guess I'd like to see in there something like, and most raffles have this. We will sell 500
X amount of
tickets at
tickets.
$10 a piece, or 40. I'm not against it by any means, but
You want more defined.
right, in the future, that really should be more defined. Anyway, that's all I got.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Did we cover all that county, that was all done earlier, right?
Yeah, we're done except for long-term.
Okay. We got stuff right now, Brent, do you go somewhere, do you want to just give a quick overview of the stuff we talked about? quick?
Yeah.
You said quick twice.
Well, I didn't
That's
mention it.
good enough, thanks.
I didn't mention it when I spoke earlier, but we are gonna have a blade guy retiring this year. This is, he hasn't given me an exact date, but he has said this is his last winter. So, I'm predicting that it will be May of this year, I think, and we're gonna be advertising for a blade operator. It could be June, but I promise you it won't be, he won't, this is his last week. October will be the very full length of his tenure. So, in the long-term planning, we're trying to figure out what we possibly can do to keep the road department afloat and not in the red all the time. And I've run all kinds of scenarios through my head and done stuff at home and done stuff at work. And so there basically, I can give you guys possibly 4 options. One option is we just stay the way we are. We just continue blading 1,347 miles of township gravel and just continue doing what we're doing, and that leaves it, it's just basically what we did this year, we're gonna continue to do. The other, there's another option that we try to put on the ballot of trying to increase mills to the road department. And Dennis and I talked, and Dan kind of explained it to me, but we were, we had talked at the last meeting about we're at 14 mills, and well, why don't we put, look and see if we can get it up to 28. Well, Dennis and I were talking, it's like, well, are we pushing our limit on mills? The cap. And Dan, maybe you want to explain what you explained to me in that aspect?
Well, the only thing about that is that would not have any bearing on 3% because it would be up to the people. And right now, we can't raise the mills on the road because we're at a max of 14, which is what the people voted on a couple years ago, and take the 10 with the 4 and put them together because the 4 mills were being expired by the state of North Dakota through legislation. So the people voted to set it at 14, and then we'll stay at 14 for eternity unless there's the will of the people to raise it.
And then, obviously there's the option of increasing what we're charging the townships. Right now it's currently 100, and going to 2 or 3 or whatever you guys decide. And then there's the 4th option that I put quite a bit of work into. And I sat down and I went through the winter routes in Wells County, each township, and north half to south half. And right now in Wells County, we are blading 846 miles of township gravel 12 months out of the year. And then 70 miles of county gravel, which turns out to be 916 miles of gravel. What that leaves is 501 miles of what you can decipher as secondary roads, ag roads, whatever you want. They're not touched in the winter. And so I broke down every township on the winter route, what their billable miles would be. And it ranges from 10 miles in some townships up to 34, depending on the population of the township. So if you take that 846 billable miles, basically our winter route, and we tell the townships this is what we're going to maintain, and this is it. And you have 501 miles of secondary roads that you're now telling the townships, buy a groomer, hire a guy, do something, but we're not going to touch those roads at all. Now, it would behoove the townships to do something to those roads because they need, how they get their funding through the state is by road miles, okay? So they can't just let them go to Prairie Trails. They're going to have to purchase a groomer, or they're going to have to do something to these roads. And the townships that have less population and less main roads are going to have more miles that they're going to have to take care of by themselves. And your heavily populated townships are going to have less miles because we're already working them. So if you take that 846 billable miles and you take that times $300 a mile, currently at 100, that's $253,000. That's $120,000 more than we collected in 2025. And you're cutting your miles on your blade operators down from 1,400 with the gravel miles of the county down to a little over 900, which gives you the option of dropping a blade or 2. The guys are currently running about 180 miles in the summer and about 110 in the winter. And what that would do is if you go down to 7, now they're gonna be running about 130 miles in the summer instead of 180. They're gonna be able to work the main roads more. They're gonna be a little bit more spread out. And that $300 a mile, they're gonna get a little bit more service because we're not spending time running these secondaries. Okay, and the snow removal's gonna stay the same because we're moving snow on those roads right now as it is. But my suggestion to Dennis was if we would go this route, I think it would behoove the commission, in my opinion, and it's worth nothing, to try to get the mill increase. And if it fails, the commission can say, listen, we've tried option after option after option, including to try to get a mill increase, and if it didn't pass, we're running out of options here, and this is what we're gonna have to do. And if you go this route, I think it would behoove you guys to either meet with the townships this summer like we did 2 years ago, or come up with some type of idea, make them aware by the township officers for the meeting at the end of February 27th, I think it is on here.
That's the time to do it.
Yeah, and to say, listen, these are just options, we're not saying that this is what we're gonna do, but we can't just keep putting this off, and we need to, we got, 'cause like I said, we got one this year, we may have 1 or 2 next year. We got blade guys that are pushing retirement age, and I don't feel the most confident in getting, even if we get applications, we don't know that we're gonna hit on those applications. They may not turn out, they may quit after 2 days, they may leave us after a year, so, and it takes time to train these guys. You don't train these guys in 2 weeks.
But we still need to keep in mind that if we can get somebody, because there's gonna be other people retiring.
Right.
Yep. So the option, what you're gonna do here is you're going, where do I foresee a problem? Where I foresee a problem is in a bad winter.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, you guys weren't on the commission, I'm just gonna give you a 2-minute breakdown, but in 2006, 2007, I was a blade guy. Richard Stallman Sykeston was retiring. We came into the KTL building here, and we sat for a day and a half, and we completely remapped out a 7-blade schedule. And we were prepared, the commissioners at that time in 2006, 2007 were thinking about going to a 7-blade crew. And they decided against it, and we hired Sean Marcotte, and when he was hired, he was told, listen, if we go to 7, you're the newest blade guy, you would lose your job. That's the last time this was looked at, is 19 years ago. And a lot has changed in 19 years. Number one, back then, the school buses run in storms because there were storm days. And because of COVID and everything else now with virtual learning, we're seeing that school is a lot of times canceled for minor storms because they don't have to use storm days virtual learning. Yeah, okay, so you're not, and there are less farms out there than there were 19 years ago. Mail routes can change, things like that. Plus, 19, 20 years ago, there wasn't the equipment on these farms. Probably 75% of the roads that we open in the winter, if we're not there the first day, are already opened by the landowners. That wasn't the case 20 years ago.
Another good point we talked about, sorry to interrupt.
Nope.
But a lot of these mail routes, sometimes they gotta keep like 5-6 miles open for one mailbox. The rural should go to these cluster mail deals.
Yeah.
I wish the post office would.
So is that a state deal or not?
I would guess it's federal, I don't know.
Because in other states it's that way.
Well, I think it's a conversation to be had because, number one, in the long run, it's gonna save the postal service a lot of money.
In mileage.
In mileage and everything.
It would be good for everybody.
Mileage and time.
Yeah, and like Dan says, the thing that Dan hates the most is when we say, well, that's the way it was always done. Okay, well, change is good sometimes. Change is good sometimes. And I think there needs to be some changes. And I want to get across that I'm not sitting here saying, I wanna go to 846 miles and skip these other 500. I'm trying to give you guys some options of what we can
One
do.
other point I want to reemphasize a little bit what you gave, is probably number 3 you had or whatever. I always thought we never charged them enough for our blading to start with. These townships are getting pretty good money from the state and stuff. I think they should be paying.
Services.
Yep, where option is listen, we're gonna go from 1 to 3, and that's gonna add another $250,000 into your. Now, you know, the bad thing about that is by keeping all them miles, we are counting on being able to continue to replace our blade guys. And we, and I know you have got it this past year, plenty of complaints that, well, you know, I haven't seen a blade in 3-4 weeks, okay? Well, as these experienced guys retire, these new guys that we're training are not gonna get around as fast. There's a lot to be said for experience, and one thing Wells County has is 150 years of experienced blade operators. And that is all gonna change very quickly in 4 or 5 years.
I am gonna throw this out because I think there was only 2 requests that came to me to be able to show me where these guys have been and when they've been there. And I was able to answer both of them.
Yep.
Gave them every single date that they were on a particular road. You know, and it would usually be, you know, June 8th and 9th, July 14th and 15th, September, you know, whatever. I've not heard a question since.
You know, people don't realize how slow a blade goes. They think, well, you can do 50 miles today. You can't.
18 to 19, 20, 10, 20 miles is a good day in a 10-hour day.
Yeah.
You gotta go up and back.
Up and back, you have to
19
work
miles, it's 38
intersections.
miles.
Yep.
And some intersection repair work.
You're
But
jumping around,
But the
spreading
point being
gravel.
was, you know, you go back to last spring, and I suspect, you know, they were told, you can ask, and we'll provide the information. And I suppose they thought, hey, we'll provide the information. Got it.
That was good, yeah.
And I've not gotten a question since.
You know, most of the guys, I think if I brought all 8 guys in, they'll tell you that they got over their entire route 6 to 7 times this year over a span of 5.5, 6 months. It's once a month. Well, there are main roads that I will agree with some of the complaints that need to be bladed more on. But I think we are wasting time, effort, and money working a lot of these secondary roads.
So let me ask you guys this, what do you guys think the townships, how do you think they would take that?
Dropping down roads.
Take what?
Dropping those minimum maintenance or those roads that just use it.
Secondary roads, Brent.
Here's the thing, you can't do both. You can't drop those and raise the fees to $300.
Right.
Because now we're getting less service and we're costing more money.
You're gonna get better service on.
You're
those
gonna get better
roads.
service on your main
I'm
roads.
just saying the backlash.
Okay, and this is important to know.
You can't
We
do
looked
both.
at the money stuff here a little bit earlier. We have made, and again, it will be a slow climb out. We have made $200,000 progress in the road fund from 1 year ago today to today. Okay, now, that comes with a caveat. We really haven't bought any major.
I was gonna
equipment
say,
in
had we
quite
bought
some time.
a blade, we would have been,
You'd be negative
Deeper.
still, even with their payment, but their payment and with some of the, call it belt tightening or whatever, we have made $200,000 of progress in 12 months' time. And by that token alone, you know, it's gonna take you 5 years if you still don't buy any new equipment to get yourself out of that hole.
But we gotta be careful that we don't end up burning up all that, by having to get one later.
Now we'll go back to what we used to do at the end of it.
The you know, there's many things that need to be taken. I mean, I love the fact that we're 200 to the plus from last year, but we're on our 3rd easy winter in a row, and we're running a skeleton crew. When I started in 2002, we had 8 blade operators, a road foreman, and 1 main employee in the Fesman shop. Right now, we have a road foreman and 8 blade guys. And in 2002, we didn't have 70 miles of gravel that we were maintaining. There was no FSA gravel roads, the townships had them all. So when we wound up with FSA roads, not only did we have 70 miles of gravel that we were having to gravel, we were still blading them. But
Right,
now we gotta gravel them, we gotta, so that's when we went from 10 to 11 full-time employees. And right now we're at 9. Now, I'm not complaining, because the guys have stepped up, but, there's one bad winter and one bad winter and one blade that we need to replace, and that 200,000 that was to the good this year is 200,000 to the bad next year.
Double that.
Okay? We've been very fortunate with winters 3 years in a row.
So,
So far this year.
This, I was gonna say, it ain't over
So
yet.
it ain't over, but
let
2.5.
me ask you this, Stan, do you think you're too much? How many township guys have told you that they don't think they're charging enough? I know there's a couple, don't even want to pay.
No, don't get me wrong. I don't think 300 is too much.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you throw from 1 to 3 and cut back on these services all in 1 year, you're gonna get a backlash. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
You might, but I've heard a whole lot of them say, you guys just aren't charging.
Well, I agree, and here's my reason, and
Go
I'm
from
gonna
1 to 2.
sound redundant, because if the townships weren't getting any more money other than their 14 or 18 mills, I'd be reluctant to do that. But starting, refresh my memory, Dan, when the Gopher Hole bill, sorry Doug, started, townships got 10 grand each. Okay? So they got more money than they ever have gotten before. And if you're in the legislative think tanks, what was that money for? Well, be specific. Gravel, what else? Culverts, and blading. So that money some of that money should be ours, shouldn't it?
Because we've been blading.
Because we did the blading.
I'm gonna break this down for you. I got it in my head. I should have written it down. If we get around a gravel road in the summer for that 6 months 7 times, okay? That blade is spending 20 minutes every time. You can say 30 minutes if they're gonna work an intersection every time they blade that road. So 7 times in the summer is 3.5 hours they worked on that mile. Okay? At $100 total. 3.5 hours. It's about $28, $30 an hour. Now you tell me if you can make ends meet when you're paying for a blade, insurance, operator, wear
Right.
parts.
That doesn't
on
have to be
20
with operating.
and I haven't even brought in snow removal.
Yeah.
Okay? And maybe that needs to be broke down and shown to these townships
Yeah.
on paper, on a screen. This is what, you're complaining about $100 a mile this year. Try to get a bulldozer or a track hoe out for less than $200 an hour, and you're paying us $30 an hour to maintain your gravel road, and that doesn't include snow removal.
I totally agree with
The
you.
500 miles you're talking about, okay, the township then gets that money, they still get their money for that road?
If they have to do some type of
Right.
maintenance on that road, correct. They can still claim it as a road mile.
Okay, and that money goes there, it doesn't stop here at all? They
Correct.
get the full amount for that road, for that mile?
For instance,
The prairie dog got money in there?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I
Yep,
get that.
so Lynn Township has 10 miles of winter billable of billable miles. They're gonna pay us $3,000. Let's just say it's $300 a mile.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay us $3,000 for us to work those 10 miles. But then you have another township that's got 34 miles.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay us about $10,000. So they're gonna have $7,000 less to put towards a groomer or paying somebody to spray or whatever, because they have more population in their township and more people and more roads that are open. So one kind of scratches the back of the other.
I will say this, I've been traveling that road that we did, that we groomed, and that road had everything on it. It had hills and whatever. And the one thing that's nice about it is all the rest of the roads in Western Township have all got in the middle, they've all got a windrow, because of the driving. This road does not. I don't know if it's because it was done late or what.
Okay, Commissioner Schmidt.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Hold the phone out here.
Dennis,
Or blade operators. Blade
well,
operators
Well,
aren't impressed with it either. I don't know why.
they,
Right?
I will
They went
say
too
this.
fast.
Well, no, I think the blade operators would be, in fact, I know. The road groomer is a great piece of equipment, but I don't believe it's made for main roads. That's where you need a motor grader, okay?
Made for these
It would do an above average job on your secondaries, and all the blade guys will tell you this. We've talked about this till I'm blue in the face. When we're blading these secondary roads, most of the time, the road surface and everything on that road is fine. We're trying to keep vegetation down.
Okay, guys,
so, excuse me, this during corn harvest, when certain corners, get
Oh, yeah.
mashed, would the blade operators be okay for somebody to groom them just to keep them up?
Oh, as long as they stay off, working intersections, they're gonna blade through. In fact, most of the blade operators, if they're blading through and they got an intersection that's a secondary road, they might drag a little gravel to fix the intersection or vice versa. The blade operators are against the groomers on the main roads because they don't. They're not. If that was the case, there would be no motor graders and everybody would have a groomer.
right.
Okay? So it's a good machine, but it's not necessarily a machine you want to use on a high traveled 25-foot top road.
So we're gonna kind of wrap this up, but there's a lot of info for you guys to think about. We're not making decisions on this right now.
I just wanted to give you guys some
That's
options.
one area to think about. So, thanks, Brent.
Yep.
Putting all that together. Dan, you wanna go through some of the stuff you have down there?
Well, and I'm gonna bring this up now, and there's nothing we can do about it, but, the news that Gianna brought you, and that 4% decrease in ag valuation, just to the road department, is another $21,000 cut to them, just based on those 14 mills, that's a $21,000 cut. And so, if you think about it in terms of, we just made a $200,000 improvement, that'll chip away at 10% of that, more than 10% of it. So, when we visited with the township folks a couple summers ago, it would be a good idea to go back and see them again, without question. There has to be a conversation about a lot of different things, and not necessarily right away in 2026, but if your contemplation is to go to the people, you only got 2 cracks, and they're both in 2026, otherwise you wait till 2028.
Right.
You gotta do this at election time. It's your only path forward, and there is nothing in
If you're gonna
2027.
do it the first election time, we better get on a stick.
You better believe it, and there's gonna have to be education that goes along
Well,
with
that's up
it.
to me.
And the truth of the matter is, and all of this, we get money from the state and so on. Taxes, our local taxes do not even pay the road department employees' salary and benefits. Not even enough for that. Okay? You're already dependent upon somebody else for buying your equipment and things of that nature. So our mill rate is not high enough. But that is in the eye of the beholder, and without education, it will fail. It will absolutely fail. Unless you go to all corners of the county and you're willing to go out and meet with people and to do those types of things, it won't happen. And it won't happen just by visiting the county officer either. That's not enough. You gotta convince the city of Harvey, the city of Bessemer,
That's the biggest nut to
Those are
crack,
the big
is
obstacles.
the city of Harvey and President, because their first question, and how do I answer this, is you represent those people, why should my taxpayer dollars, if you're a retired couple who lives in a little house in Harvey, go to blade some road out in the country?
In Silver Lake Township.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
There's fishing down there though.
I'd say by what you just described there, the little old couple in the little old house in Harvey, North Dakota is no longer paying property taxes.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
keep that in mind.
They aren't, but they would still not vote for it.
Well, and that is part of the eye-opening experience. It's my quest to get actual numbers on this. But when I see the amount of tax revenue that we have, it's confirming what I already know, and that's that the majority of the people in Wells County will not pay any taxes on property taxes. I am convinced of that.
On their primary residence.
Absolutely.
But money's gonna come from the state.
It is, but they're not paying
Right.
taxes.
Well, it's more of an incentive, if that was the case, it's more of an incentive for us to raise those mills because the state's just
Somebody
gonna pay
else is
for it.
paying the
Somebody else
bill.
is paying for it.
But that is part of an education that you better be a damn good teacher if you're
Yeah.
gonna get that across to people because they'll never.
Hey, we got
believe
three.
That would actually be
Yeah.
To
up
my
to-
knowledge, we got three ex-teachers right here, don't we?
Here's the thing, that would be entirely up to Neil to portray that in the Harvey Wells.
There you go,
County.
Dave, you're on table now, there you go.
But that being
But,
said,
yeah.
I mean, and that's only part of it, and there is a lot more to Wells County than just the road department.
Well,
And, the idea of being asked to do more with less is not a brand new concept.
No.
And you, I come from the world of education, two of you also do as well, albeit one limited, but that was the story of my entire career. Every time you got something, they wanted not only a commensurate level of increase in your effort, they wanted something above and beyond that. That's always what it was. And this is no different. You know, there's been some technology that's helped to increase productivity and things of that nature, but you're still asked to do more. You never get a pass. And that, you know, we have to understand, going back to, you know, our first conversations about this, there's always more to be done. And we don't have the population and so on to be able to justify some of those things. So that's what we gotta figure out. Where are we going? What are we doing? You know, and I know Janelle did not answer that question this morning. It's not her place to answer that question about whether or not another deputy is needed. But that is a serious question that has to be posed. And what are you gonna get for it? Okay? I got you know, and if you don't hire the right people, okay, I got a bill for $2,600 yesterday for unemployment. Okay, if you don't hire the right people. Okay? All right? So,
No, back up.
oh, no. I don't need to back up. I'm certainly not gonna say names here, but
Oh.
unemployment is a part of the gig. And when
Okay.
you hire people who are not very good at their gig,
Yeah.
and you're on the hook when they become unemployed and nobody else will hire them because they weren't
Right.
very good when they worked for you, okay? So you gotta pay that. All right?
Unemployment.
Unemployment. And doesn't matter if they quit a year ago or a year and a half ago, you're still part of their base and you still have to bear that cost. So just hiring people may not be the hardest thing in the world. Hiring good people
It's really hard.
is really hard. Okay? And we got a lot of really good people here. So better hang on to what you got, and, you know, when you do have to hire people, you better make really, really good decisions. So we gotta get deeper into this, guys. We really do, and we don't have to be done today, but we don't have a whole bunch more months here before it's springtime.
What do you think about the idea, we already have 2 items for Friday morning, can we make this a meeting? And discuss this more in detail? I mean, we already gotta go over the bills, which you can do that over the phone. But we've got Jana's situation,
That's
we can
gonna-
do kind of that on the phone, although, but we could have a separate
I agree,
time.
we should spend a couple hours on this.
Cause you know what, I haven't started yet, I got 29 things.
Yeah. Well, number one,
I'm dead serious.
this tells the whole goddamn story. When you look at how our population went down and projected,
Right.
another 10 years, we could be hardly any people here.
But services don't necessarily equate to number of people.
Yeah, I know.
But there's one thing we
There's
gotta
more
remember.
demanding
Expenses
people.
are the same.
There's one thing we have to remember.
things is, okay, roads are a big problem in this county, okay? If we don't have someone watching the speed on these roads on a regular basis with trucks, we're shooting ourselves in the foot fixing trucks.
That's one of my 29.
Okay, but I mean, I'm just saying is there's a few things that we probably should fix that would help the long-term plan that have been an issue in the past.
Well, and I'll preface this by saying, having a long-term plan is important, but what's our goal? And I think our goal should be to maintain the services we provide now and become more efficient at how we do that. Now, that's a lofty goal, and that sounds philosophically good, but that's where you need to start, versus saying we're just gonna cut a bunch of stuff. Because I think, going back to the road, when we met with those townships a year ago, they didn't want services cut. If it would push come to shove, most of them, especially in the northern part here, they'd rather pay more and get as many or more service than what they've been getting.
There's 80 to 100 more miles of billable winter roads in the northern half of Wells County than there is in the southern.
Oh, yeah.
I broke it down.
Yeah, I figured that out.
You know, I mean, and that's common, that's where the population is in this county.
Right.
Well, these parts identify the problem, the tough parts identify the solution.
Sure. Well, okay, so we had a problem before Janet came in here today. Okay, but 69% of our valuation in Wells County is ag land. Okay, and you don't know this, you don't need to know this, but the value of CP Rail and DNSF both went down last year. Okay, I haven't read any place that Warren Buffett isn't making as much money as he ever did on the DNSF. Okay.
Does the state determine that?
Yep. But yeah, they both went down last year. So there's a trend developing, and it's not that valuation, you got a page in here that shows some very nice increases in valuation, which allowed you the flexibility of doing a lot of the things that you have done over the course of, I'll just say the last 15 years, okay? Those luxuries are not gonna be there for you, and you have to grasp this. And it doesn't matter if it's the 5 of you or 5 different people sitting in here, you're gonna have to deal with that reality. And I would think you would prefer to control this destiny rather than have the destiny control you. And that's why we need to do some things. I have a willing participant across the hall from me who is willing, we can become a 4, becomes 3 between the auditor and treasurer's office. Okay? I've not heard any kicking and screaming from the 3 remaining employees that will be there. Okay, you gotta seize this opportunity. Okay, another opportunity is gonna be gifted to you in the form of a retirement at the end of 2026. You have to seize that moment, but it would be nice, rather than wait until it occurs, to have a plan, a transitional plan that you're gonna go forward with this. But you also know that I represent the norm in this place. She's a year older than I am. Heffley is my age, okay? I keep Laura Maché's 3 years older than me, okay? This is gonna come to a head here way quicker than you want it to. Some of you will still be on the commission when all of this transition takes place.
Yeah, we talk about
It won't be Dennis, but it could be the rest of you.
well, we talk about the road department and 6 guys, but the entire county, like Dan just noted, I mean, you're gonna lose a lot of employees in the next 5-6 years that have been good long-term employees.
You're gonna need a big roundabout at the corner because it's what's needed. Because it's gonna come.
Yeah, it's not just the road department.
Well, you can't look at it all gloom and doom.
No,
No.
Absolutely not. But there's a certain reality that you better take advantage of things when they're presented
No,
to you.
I totally agree with that, yeah. Especially if you got willing participants.
But the moral of the story is, don't stack on 2 or 3 people and expect everybody else to not have to contribute anything either.
So let's just say, what would be the step forward? People, when they're retiring, are we gonna make a stance that we're gonna try and combine at that point? Or what would you suggest?
Well, you're gonna have to be open and honest about
Yeah.
where you're trying to go and where you're trying to get to. And I'll just say it, I'm sure Tammy can hear me right now. Can you hear me, Tammy? If you don't start having someone else who's presently an employee of yours, start taking a look over her shoulder at what she does as emergency management, you're gonna be in a big time pickle.
Yeah, just throw somebody in there that don't know nothing,
Yeah.
that's really bad.
And I think some idea of, I don't wanna call it job sharing, but to get some diversity amongst your employee group here, that you can fill some of these things internally. You never know, there might be good candidates at any given moment in time, but I don't think that has been our history here. When we advertise for a job, we're lucky to get an applicant, let alone applicants. Okay, and I see the writing on the wall is that you're not gonna be able to provide the salary and benefits commensurate with being able to draw people in here, so you better figure out how you can pay the ones that are here a little bit more and let them diversify their job description a little bit.
Yeah, the diversification is important.
And I'll say it, I've said it to you guys before in an email, when we hired Chris Doctor, when we hired Tammy Hines, those weren't singles up the middle, those were home run hires. And you gotta make sure that you keep those people, and they're only gonna be here for X amount of time anyway. Tammy, obviously, she's my age too. But keeping Carissa Doctor here is a big deal. You can talk all you want about how you can just put somebody in that role, no you can't. To have the meticulous level of skills that it takes to work in the treasurer's office, and in my office, we spent the last 3 days, I was informed of this at the end of last week, that there was $156.21. That's the exact amount. We couldn't figure out where it was. Okay? How many people are gonna spend days tracking down $156.21? But in government, this number has to equal this number. You can't be off 156.21. Well, we found it yesterday. Okay? That takes a special kind of person who's
Dedication.
willing to do that.
You wouldn't want more than I am.
You write it down as bait then?
Exactly.
I mean, in the human resources alone, we spent way more than $156.21 finding $156.21. But we found it.
But now it's out.
And now A equals B. So if you think those kind of people are walking up and down the streets on a regular basis, they're not.
They're not, but you can't sell ourselves short and put this poor me syndrome on, and we're in Wells County and no one wants to come here and work. You just named 3 people, okay? You need something in tax equalization, getting you for auditor, Oliver as state's attorney, Bucky as a blade man, every one of them. One of you would have said, oh, they'll never work here, but they're all here. So sometimes I get what Dan's talking about, but we can't sell ourselves short in that.
And that role might start reversing because a lot of people want to come out here and get away from the rest of the world.
You hope that.
Well, it is starting to happen. I
You
mean,
hope
it's
that.
starting to happen. I'm not saying they're qualified people, but I'm just saying is people are starting to get tired of the big cities,
Well,
you know,
right, yeah.
and they've had enough of the crap.
You wanna come out here? Well, I haven't told Brent this, but there was a young guy I talked to the other day that would just love to learn how to be a blade man. So there are people out
So, yeah, and I'm not saying there's not, but, you know, it just, like Dan said, you just can't put somebody over, you know, in that office.
there. No.
And it is the same with the blade. I mean, we hired 2 guys and we put a year into them, and we had high hopes for both of them, and they both left. And then that sets us back another year.
And both were good guys.
And both were good guys.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we made the hire, and throughout the span of that 8 to 10, you know, 3 to 4, we're all excited. And all of a sudden, boom, they're both gone, and it's like, we're right back to where we were a year ago, and we don't have any applicants.
See, and that's the downside of having a small entity of any kind, whether it's a school district, a hospital board, this for an example. There isn't departments with a number of people. In Alberta County, Tammy has 3 assistants. So one of them will fill in when Tammy retires, and she knows the ropes. I'm just using that for an example. In Wells County, we have that, so we really have a additional problem.
It was in the paper, this morning, Burley County's been trying to work on making the auditor and treasurer appointed instead of voted on, you know? And of course, they're catching opposition, but down there, they've got people that are qualified that they can get versus here, we don't. Well, we don't think we can.
And then the other hardship you create, and you mentioned the hospital board, so I'm just gonna say it, that my 10 years on the board there in the hospital in Harvey was a lot of hurt feelings by employees when you would bring in people, temps,
Oh, yeah.
and pay them more than the people who were there.
Still happening.
Okay, it is still happening, but it's a challenge because we don't have the kind of professionals that we need available in Wells County to do those kinds of jobs. So they have to bring people from all over Timbuktu. And yeah, that creates a lot of hard feelings.
But the travel nurses, they don't get their insurance paid by the hospital.
They sure don't. But they
I mean,
make
that's
more-
what I'm saying, is
More
there is
than
a
makes up
difference.
for it.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm just saying, there is a difference.
They can afford
They
to.
make a lot of money, them travel.
Well, anyway, we've got a lot of problems out here. What, do we need to put some time down and outline what to do next, or what?
On Friday, so what are we gonna do for that meeting?
I just threw that out there. We can continue next month.
Sophomore in February.
But you have everything here from your employee group to your capital expenditures, to your individual departments. You got a lot of stuff here that you gotta cover. And you won't fix this situation by charging the townships more. Period. You won't fix this issue by getting Carissa to work at 2 different departments and 2 department supervisors to go solo with 1 person instead, or 3 people instead of 4. That won't fix your issue. These are all parts of a solution.
Right.
And if you can't be willing to go just this far. These are the challenges that you have.
We missed one today. I'll give you an example. Our engineer was here. What's the engineering fee on that?
10%.
10%, right? $120,000. Think you would have taken 90 and did the job? Darn well you would have, because both of them have said already, or this could be negotiated. That'd be 20 grand in savings right there. Just throwing that out there. You know, it just
JLG.
doesn't matter. Wolf was the one who mentioned it when they were here. He says, "Oh, we could really negotiate that." You know?
So if you were custom combine, and everybody else was getting so much a separator hour, would you be willing to go quite a bit less just to have the job?
Depending on how busy I was.
That's right.
Well,
If I'm busy, no. If I'm out of work, I'll do it for half price.
but would you do as good a job if you had to do it for half price?
They have to.
You're a reputable outfit.
I'm just posing those questions.
Well, right.
I mean, it's, because I worked on both sides of that coin. as far as working for people in other states and different things like that. And there's one thing you gotta remember. The places you worked at that provided the good meals and provided a tip when you got done, next year when they called, they got preferential treatment. I mean, I'm trying to explain that this stuff does happen. And I'm not picking on these guys or anybody, but that's something you have to
And
remember.
not to dwell on that, but I mentioned it before, I just don't understand how, when someone bids a project, I mean, Knife River, all these guys, they are working their tails off to try to get the cheapest. They want the low bid. But when it comes to engineers, they don't have to bid. They just get it.
want.
Well, they have their buddy system set fee at 10% or whatever it is, and that's off the subject. That would just be another example of how to save money.
Dan, I'm sorry I didn't bring this up when it was my turn to talk a couple hours ago, but I forgot two things. And maybe you guys addressed it. The warranty on the 2 John Deere machines in Harvey, has that been addressed?
We're just gonna extend it.
Okay, because that is I think it's up this month. Is it in the bills to
I
pay?
believe it is.
Yeah.
I can't say if it's in there, in what we're gonna pay out, but yeah, it should be.
Okay, because the RDO called me and said, have you guys decided, are you gonna extend the
Oh,
warranties?
we're absolutely extending.
Yep, and that's what I told them, and I just wanted to bring it up here, because
In fact, you should just text them back and say, send us the bill.
send
right
us
now.
a bit, I can do
Right
that,
now.
yep, I'll give them a call. And then the other thing is, and it's off topic, but now, so I understand you're in charge of the booking of the festival hall, correct?
Yeah, starting January 1st, yeah.
Okay, so do you want this, everything to run as it was with Janelle and I, where if you got something going on at the hall, you'll let me know in the winter for snow removal and stuff like that?
Yeah, she had an event booked for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to do a
That's-
little
That's
extra.
the only one I'm aware of. that-
Yeah, according to Janelle, that's too, I mean, I think the next thing that's actually booked is the 27th of February,
Officers,
yep.
yeah.
But, I'm gonna go do just a little bit more snow removal for that dinner tomorrow.
Yeah, I was out there yesterday and but it wouldn't take 5 minutes.
No, it won't take, but I like to make it look nice. So them are my only two things. I will contact John Deere or RDO, tell them to send us a bill.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So did Frank's, maintainer ever get figured out?
If we get rid of a maintainer, I promise you, we're
Drive it
getting
over the
rid
cliff.
of that lemon.
Drive it over the cliff?
It's acting up, but it's usable, but I think even RDO would tell you that, that machine had a sour taste to it.
So, as that said, and there's warranty on it, wouldn't they wanna kinda take care of that a little bit better?
I mean, it's operating as it should, and they have thrown literally every wiring harness and computer system at it. With this extended warranty, it's gonna cover basically what they've done to it. There are a few things that the extended warranty doesn't cover compared to your first 5-year warranty or 6, whatever you sign up for. But it would behoove us, especially with those 2 machines, to get the extended warranty.
How much is it a year?
Well, is it 8,000-9,000?
It's
Per
over
machine,
75
right?
Per
years,
machine.
but not way over. So it, from a financial standpoint, is money well spent.
It's a no-brainer, yeah. Sorry, I didn't bring that up during my time, I just thought of it.
Well, I'm glad you did, 'cause I don't wanna miss out on the technicality.
Is Carrie's machine working?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's just your typical, well, there's a cylinder leak or a hose,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, as far as computer wise and wiring harness, which honestly is 90% of the problems with all new machines now, whether it's your tractor or your car or whatever. Electrical.
Pick up the car. Do we want to pick some special more meeting with this or not? What do you think?
It's not a Friday thing, but if you wanna hook something up, maybe in the 3rd week of January, we could certainly do that, something that works for you guys, but.
Yeah, really spend a little more time on it. There's a couple of ideas that we need to probably look at when we come to budget time. A lot of times we take a deal now, just leave that like it was last year. There's a lot of
Take 10, 20,000.
I think it's sitting there, yeah. That could be thought of differently, probably.
Dan, this is just because I'm one of the 7 of the 10. If we went to for the mill increase, is that on the June or the November ballot?
Either or both.
Yeah.
I mean, if it fails in June, doesn't mean you can't go back and.
Oh, you can do it that close?
Yep.
Okay.
And you would probably consider, well, if it got to 70-30, you would go
Right.
back and.
But if it was close
If
and
it
you
was
could
close,
really,
then you could do some more education if
Yeah.
that
I
would seem to have
need
been
to
your fail.
look into that.
Well, we do really pretty soon if we're gonna, because
June's not that far away.
the deadline, April.
Yep.
Get it on the ballot.
April 4th or 6th or something like
Ready?
that.
Let's make a decision next meeting if we want to do it.
Well, and that to me is a component of this.
Right.
Is that part of how you wish to address, your long-term needs here? And I don't know what the magic number is, but you don't wanna shortchange yourself, you don't wanna go and ask for 2.5 mils, because, what's that gonna get you?
No,
But you also don't need to go in and ask for 30. So you gotta be thinking about that and be cognizant of, the people that you represent. If you feel if you can explain this well, are they inclined to do this, or?
Has this been something that's been brought up at the 6 county meetings at all, where you get other counties' response on it?
Well, other
Yeah.
counties have quite a bit different circumstances than us. Foster County has a substantially higher road fund.
we were told we've got to learn how to tax these windmills
Yeah.
and these
They all
battery
got,
storage.
they got battery storage units and wind towers
And
and
I'm sitting there
transmission
going,
lines.
we don't have that, but, well, Stanley.
Speaking of that, I heard that completely fell through yesterday, the wind tower thing. Oh, I was told this morning.
It's hit a bump in the road.
Okay, yeah.
It's got a bump in the road, but it ain't complete.
No.
Oh, okay. Just wondering.
Mr. Magnan down there told us, wow, you gotta do like we do, just tax these things, and you'll be good shape. We don't have those.
Or increased fees. I mean, it was bragging about transmission lines and everything else, we're getting fees on. We don't have any of that stuff.
I've got to get a video going for the senior breakfast club. They can watch that during the morning when they're having a coffee about what we need to do, with voting and stuff like that. You have to get your
Now, you gotta educate people in this
Right.
thing,
Well, I would guess Friday morning you need to examine your calendar so you can at least have an idea of what might work for you.
Well, we're here now. Does the 22nd work? Somebody threw out
What day of the
week in January, Thursday. 23rd is not for me.
22nd, you said?
Why? 20th, 22nd, 21st.
I like that Wednesday.
I do too.
None of us work except Brian.
Yeah.
That's full time.
You're talking the 21st?
21st, we started at 8 o'clock for a couple, 2.5 hours.
21st,
Yeah,
a Wednesday?
yeah.
Is that something you want me to come to? You can always call me if you have any
Yeah, we
questions.
can call you.
I think we'll probably just meet over there then.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, anybody got anything else?
All right, I'm gonna get a hold of RDO. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
If not, motion adjourned.
So we'll-
One of you second, one of you got it, okay.
Right, I don't care.
I don't need it.
I think Stan bought dinner last time.
Yep.
That means,
It's Dennis the next 4 times.
yeah. Okay,